But we talk a little bit about Greece and Portugal and their debts, and what kind of contingency plans.
Right.
How soon do we need to be starting to think the same in this country?
Right.
When I think there's still an assumption from the financial community, the business community, that this is just one more political squabble and we'll solve it at the 11th hour.
Right.
And sometimes a disconnect from our side, the political side, that don't understand, at what point do people have to start covering?
Yes.
At what point do the shorts start to say, hey, this may be a great trade? And what kind of contingencies and what kind of tools do we have left to put in place? As draconian as the challenges were when you and others, I think history will say, stepped up the right way. We don't have a TARP, we don't have stimulus, we don't have monetary policy in a major way left.
Yeah.
I don't think this goes to August 2nd. I'd love to have your reassurance to say, Senator, don't worry, we're going to get through this one just fine. But when mid-July, if the shorts start going and people start covering,
Right.
what are the contingencies that we've been thinking about for our country, its financial
Well,
system?
I think it's really a very dangerous game, and I think it's very important for people to understand that it's not just U.S. financial stability; it's world financial stability that rests on the financial integrity of the United States government and our willingness to stand behind our obligations. And I'm passionate about deficit reduction. Last year wrote a very strong op-ed on this and strongly supported the Bowles-Simpson Commission, and the work that you and others have been doing is essential to get, because long-term, if we don't have a credible deficit reduction plan, that could also lead for a loss of investor confidence. But to, in the short term, to play around with even talking about even a so-called technical default on U.S. debt, I think is really highly problematic. We still have time to do this, but will we? That's really the question. I gave a speech last week on short-termism and what seems to be an increasing inability culturally, whether it's business, government, whatever, to look beyond the immediate fix. And there's no immediate fix here. This is going to be a lot of hard work, a lot of hard decisions. It's going to take time to get these deficits down. It's going to have to be some combination of entitlement reform and revenue increases, and it just seems like all those things are so obvious that the political process doesn't seem to be able to produce the tough decisions that really need to be made and then execute on them. So we still have time, but if we keep kicking the can down the road, we won't, and we will start seeing the types of volatility that you're seeing with other countries that are viewed by the market as weak.
Well, I guess what I totally concur with what you've just said, but I guess, and I don't, on your last time testifying
Right.
before the committee, I guess I'd ask two things, but the notion that we can go up to the precipice,
I don't
the
think.
notion that sometime second week, third week of July, the markets are going to have to start taking action, that even some of the technical just covering
Right.
is going to have to take place. I mean, am I wrong on that?
No, I'm sorry. No, you are not wrong. That is a very dangerous game, and the ramifications. Even if we go to the precipice, the market gets scared. The debt limit's still raised, but what you've done, you've increased interest cost, you've increased Treasury's borrowing cost, and you created a bigger deficit problem. So why even go there? Why even flirt with it? I just don't understand that. It's very harmful, and we'll make the budget deficit worse.
Well, again,
Yeah.
what I think, I scratch my head with members of Congress who say they don't see any problem with this, and there seems to be no disagreement that every point that we raise in interest rates over a 10-year over the baseline is $1.3 trillion additional deficit reduction. So the notion of the $4.5 trillion plan that a bipartisan group have been talking about, that could be wiped away with a 3-point interest rate. I had a number of our community banks, again, yesterday, talk about still the challenges with the regulators and how, the mixed messages they're getting. But, what would a 200 or 300 basis point interest rate increase do right now, not just to the deficit, but to business lending?
It would be very damaging to our economic, as sluggish as it is. We've been after the banks for a long time to be mindful of interest rate risk and stress a 300 basis point jump. So I think they could, it wouldn't be easy, and I certainly would like to avoid it, but it would certainly stress them more when they're not in the best condition yet now, and it's going to increase borrowing costs for households and businesses. And they're already tepid about borrowing, and they're not sure about the economy, and that's going to, could potentially tilt our economic trajectory downward again. So it's so avoidable, and there's so many really profound, very devastating ramifications to it. I just don't understand why we're even talking about getting to that point. I really don't.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask one more question, and then I'd love to wait after a second round. I've got questions on resolution, but again, I just want to pick up on one of your last points, which is even not getting to the precipice, somewhere
In between.
in
would be very
between,
bad.
the week after the 4th and August 2nd, won't institutions, won't the markets start building in a risk premium? And if we get close, that risk premium won't disappear even if we have some 11th hour political
That's
solution?
absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. It won't. It'll
50
be
basis points, 100 basis points, 150 basis points?
I wouldn't want to put a number on it, but it would be there, and it would probably be there for many years. And again, exacerbate the problem we're trying to deal with and still haven't solved.